Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today's webinar is all about reimagining the path into teaching, especially for those who have faced barriers like financial constraints, complex certification processes, and a lack of sustained mentorship. We'll explore how innovative high-quality pathways like registered teacher apprenticeship programs are addressing these challenges head-on. These programs are paid job embedded experience that not only meet certification requirements, but also create sustainable, supportive entry points into the profession. We're also excited to introduce a collaborative network of committed folks who are here to, of course, expand equitable teacher pipelines. We are excited to showcase some of the folks that will be joining us today. We thank them for their time. They have taken out the time today to not only inform, but share some of their helpful resources as well as some of their practices that has their program shining today. So as we continue, again, we want to thank our panelists for joining us. And we'll start off by sharing a little bit about the Pathways Alliance for those of you that may be new to joining us. The Pathways Alliance is led by Innovate EDU and the Learning Policy Institute. It is an uncommon coalition of leading educating organizations that's dedicated to supporting and implementing diverse and inclusive educator prep pipelines, including teacher residency and apprenticeship programs. Back in August of 2022, the White House met with First Lady Dr. Joe Biden, the Secretaries of Education, Labor Ambassador Susan Rice, and presidents of AFT, NEA, AACT, NGA, and CCSSO. And they set out to have a Dear Colleague letter, which called upon states to establish registered teacher apprenticeship programs for teachers. At the time, there was only 2 registered teacher apprenticeships in 2 states, which is New York and Tennessee. Right now, this map is a little outdated, so it's back from 2023, but it has since been updated since. If you have not, please visit EdTrust. We have a 50-state scan out, which highlights the programs currently across 50 states. But there are roughly maybe even more since 46 states, including PR, that have registered programs. There are more than 2,500 active teacher apprentices in over 170 programs of graduates and counting. When we set out to create the standards or highlight these standards, we wanted to provide a strong foundation for high quality teacher residencies and registered teacher apprenticeships by ensuring that we outlined clear expectations for applied learning, mentorship, and certification. These standards ensure that programs include co-teaching, one-on-one support for experienced educators, and a gradual release of responsibility, all while aligning, of course, with district priorities. We wanted to ensure that we were emphasizing paid immersive experience with access to tuition support, and that also these standards would help and support expand equitable pathways into the teaching profession. We also wanted to ensure that when folks are seeing apprenticeship terms, that they are not shied away from them, but to understand that some of them mean the same things. So for instance, if you see apprentice, or it means candidate. If you see journey worker, it's mentor teacher. Clinical practice is synonymous for on-the-job learning, and so on and so forth. So if you see some of these terms throughout these presentations, or some of these terms you may have not seen before, we wanted to ensure that we were able to share them with you today. I would like to now pass it on to our colleagues from the University of Tennessee and the University of Tennessee Grow Your Own, Bianca Pratt and Kate Hall. We are going to now have a deep dive into Tennessee's registered apprenticeship model from their national perspective. And then we'll also later on hear from some of the leaders across the country in today's conversation who will highlight what they're working on and how we can build on it. So I'll now pass it on to Bianca and Kate who will share a little bit information about us, about their work.
Thanks, Sabrina. Thanks for having us today. My name is Kate Hall, and I serve as the director of the Tennessee Grow Your Own Center. I'm here with my colleague, Bianca Pratt, and she serves as a regional manager with the Tennessee Grow Your Own Center. And so kind of what we hope to share with you today is the design and the structure of the Registered Teacher Apprenticeship Program in Tennessee, and some key supports that we have in place, including the apprenticeship model, our mentorship support model, which we're calling the Grow Your Own Collaboratory, the test preparation that we have in place for our apprentices through our partnership with study.com, and flexibility and access for our working learners. We're going to specifically share about a competency-based program of study that we have developed with faculty members called the Registered Teacher Apprenticeship Program of Study. So what you see on this slide is us here at the Grow Your Own Center, and we provide technical support for our school district partners and our colleges and universities, our education preparation providers, through the Registered Apprenticeship Program for teachers. And we also support the development of pre-apprenticeship programs at our high schools and at our community colleges. So this just shows a timeline of how we came to be. So in January of 2022, Tennessee Grow Your Own model was the first nationally approved permanent teacher occupation apprenticeship program. And that led to the launch of the Tennessee Grow Your Own Center in May of 2022. And that was a combined effort between our sponsor of the program, the Tennessee Department of Education, and the UT System Office, which oversees the campuses across Tennessee that are part of the University of Tennessee system. And we act as the intermediary that provides the technical assistance for the teacher apprenticeship model, supporting recruitment and development of candidates, and then really working on innovative models and programs and pathways. In 2023, the Department of Ed and the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce came together to secure a continued financial investment in apprenticeships. And they designated 10% of our labor and workforce funding specific for registered teachers. And then in May of 2023, we moved to a sustainable funding model, which we're so thankful for, to have an allocation in the governor's budget for ongoing sustainable work in the registered teacher apprenticeship. And then on the next slide, what you see is just kind of how we all work together. And so in Tennessee, the sponsor of the apprenticeship is the Department of Education. We work alongside the State Apprenticeship Agency, the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. And then, as I said, at the Grow Your Own Center, we really support our sponsor and serve as an intermediary. So the development and deployment of resources really to support our employer partners and our EPP college and university partners. So as most of you know, Grow Your Own programs are a key strategy for helping to address the teacher shortage. And in Tennessee specifically, we partner with 95 school districts to identify teaching candidates who are already employed but are not serving as the teacher of record. And then at the same time, we really leverage our education preparation provider partners to offer low to no cost pathways for our apprenticeship candidates. And what we're really seeing is improved educator pipelines all the way through and varied backgrounds that are entering the teacher workforce. In Tennessee, on the next slide, what you see is why apprenticeship is one of the key strategies for solving the teacher shortage. And this is our vacancy report from 2024. And what this shows is the breakdown of teacher vacancies across the state, the number of teachers who are on a permit and endorsement exemptions across the state. And so we really thought, wow, we can help solve this with the Registered Teacher Apprenticeship Program and really help districts understand how the registered apprenticeship can be a key strategy to help them face the shortages in their communities. And what you kind of see on the next slide is the impact that Grow Your Own in Tennessee is having. So all of our partner districts are showing up there. We have 95, it says 92, but 95 or 96 partnering school districts who are approved to employ teacher apprenticeships in the state. 14 colleges and universities across the state are doing a great job to support these working learners. And then you see we have 537 apprentices currently in our pipeline. We've had 187 complete the program and serve as teachers, which is such amazing news. We also have a pipeline in the community college working on their associate degree, and they will transfer into our registered apprenticeship program. And overall, since we started, we've served 724 apprentices. So the model that we follow in Tennessee, again, is the state of Tennessee provides that financial support for Grow Your Own through scholarships that go directly to our EPP partners. There's a scholarship amount for our undergraduate learners who are completing their bachelor's degree, so years 3 and 4. And then we also have many programs and pathways that are 1-year licensure only, and we scholarship those learners as well. And then, as I've already said, we really serve at the center to provide that technical support that our school districts need and our colleges and universities need. It could be around the development of program models. It could be around how to recruit and retain students. We support them with what that progressive wage looks like, since that's a requirement of the apprenticeship. We support mentor teachers and how to select high quality mentor teachers. And then just ensure that they are providing everything that's required of an apprenticeship program, that they have a partner in college and university to provide that related technical instruction, that they're logged onto our platform to really track the competencies that are required of a registered teacher apprenticeship. And the great news is all of our apprentices do get that recognized credential at the end of a successful completion. And then on this slide, what you see is just how we're able to serve our learners in the state of Tennessee and the pathways that we have available. And we work with our school districts on understanding, we call this the funnel, but understanding this funnel as a workforce development pipeline strategy. And so we have pathways and programs for high school students, that red ring of the funnel, through teaching as a profession programs. And those can be state certified pre-apprenticeship programs that will feed directly into the registered apprenticeship program. We have on-ramps for those seeking an associate degree, many at community colleges, and those can be state certified pre-apprenticeship or registered apprenticeship programs for paraprofessionals. And both of those connect directly to the registered teacher apprenticeship program, which would be those working as an instructional assistant in a school and are finishing up their bachelor's degree. And then we're seeing a high number of candidates interested in becoming a teacher that already have a bachelor's degree in another field. And so they're also able to enter in that post-bac space and get the teaching license that's required in the state of Tennessee added in a year or less, so they can also serve as teacher. So I'm going to turn it over to Bianca to talk a little bit more about our program.
Thank you, Kate. Hi, everybody. So as Kate mentioned, local education agencies, or our LEAs on the next slide, in Tennessee have access to various state and federal funding sources to help cover the costs of registered teacher apprenticeship programs. These funds can be used for tuition, tests, textbooks, and stipends for mentor teachers. Really, a key strategy for maximizing these resources is the braided funding model, which you see here, which combines multiple funding streams to comprehensively support the program. This braided approach really weaves together funds from 4 primary sources: educator preparation providers, which are the EPPs, the LEAs or the school districts, workforce development programs, and federal and state financial aid for apprentices. This integration really allows for a more flexible and sustainable funding solution, ensuring each program's unique needs are met. We have a comprehensive guide to these funding sources available to support the initiatives on our website, and Kate may add that link into the chat. You can also view our video on that website to hear from LEA leaders from across the state sharing their approaches to teacher apprenticeship funding in their own districts. Another support for teacher apprenticeship in Tennessee that we are working on is that Grow Your Own Collaboratory. It's a support network directly aimed at improving educators' perceptions of fairness in evaluation, mentoring support, professional development, and classroom autonomy. This 2-year opportunity will really bring together mentor teachers and Grow Your Own program leaders from universities, school districts, the Tennessee Department of Education, to co-create, implement, iterate, and refine professional development experiences for thousands of future educators. This Grow Your Own Collaboratory really accomplishes 2 goals. It provides necessary training to today's Tennessee mentor teachers and Grow Your Own program leaders, while it also develops their sense of collective leadership as they design experiences for future educators. This collaboratory is co-created, implemented, and refined by the people who will really use it daily. We're not just handing out pre-made professional development materials to our mentors. Instead, college partners and the Grow Your Own Center will be working alongside to help facilitate the development of these materials that they most need and will be really useful to them. On the next slide, we see the Grow Your Own Collaboratory is really designed to address several critical challenges in education. The goal is to reduce teacher stress and increase their sense of belonging, equip a sufficient number of mentors for novice teachers, ease the burden of filling vacancies for our school districts, increase the number of teachers who plan to stay in the profession, increase the teacher's reported sense of involvement in school decision-making, and to produce all materials necessary to replicate a mentor training retreat for future cohorts. Another initiative at the Grow Your Own Center to support teacher apprenticeship in Tennessee is with our partnership with Study.com and the Keys to the Classroom. In February of 2023, the Department of Education, in partnership with Study.com, announced that all Tennessee teacher apprenticeship candidates through the Tennessee Grow Your Own Center would have free access to Keys to the Classroom to provide test prep support for their licensure tests to earn their Tennessee teacher's license. Keys to the Classroom really provides a high quality test preparation support, removing barriers for teacher apprentices who are preparing to take those licensure tests to earn their teacher's license. Participating districts in the Tennessee Grow Your Own Center had access to 1,200 free licenses for their prospective teachers to be equipped with the tools and knowledge needed to prepare for and pass their teacher licensure tests. We know that in Tennessee and really across the nation, passing the required licensure test to earn a teacher's license can be a significant obstacle and further challenges districts as they work to combat staffing shortages. In this initiative, as part of the state's Grow Your Own strategic efforts, it really helps eliminate barriers to ensure more qualified teachers are entering the teacher profession in Tennessee. You can see some of the exciting results of this initiative, where we had 327 apprentices were registered, and the total apprentices from January 23 to current. The pass rates were really high compared to pass rates before the integration of Study.com, Keys to the Classroom. And we saw that 23 out of 24 were very likely to recommend. On the next slide, you'll get to see some specific feedback from apprentices as we polled them as they were completing. 71% were very likely to recommend study.com to other teachers preparing for their praxis exams. And we had some great feedback. Study.com was amazing. And just talking about the supports of study.com as a test prep resource. In a few minutes, you'll also get to hear from our colleague at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga about how they integrated this resource to support their pass rates for praxis. And another resource that we use at the Grow Your Own Center to support registered apprentices in Tennessee and beyond is the Registered Teacher Apprenticeship Program of Study, or RTAPS, that we have developed in collaboration with 16 faculty fellows from 7 universities across Tennessee. And it was developed in support by a $1.8 million Ascendium Education Group grant. This is a competency-based, fully virtual curriculum that expands access to teacher preparation, particularly for aspiring educators in rural and underserved communities. In the first year of this project, you can see that 16 faculty fellows met online bi-weekly to receive training from our partners at CBIN and iDesign, which they are partners that provided support around competency-based education and instructional design. And we discussed writing deliverables for their assigned competencies. In year 2 of the build, which we are now in, the RTAPS build is complete, and 8 faculty fellows were selected to study, maintain, and improve RTAPS, meeting again bi-weekly online with our partners at CBIN. We have completed the fall pilot, and we are in the middle of the spring pilot, where we are using over, I'd say about 260 to 300 students are actually piloting this this curriculum right now, and we're getting back really valuable feedback so that in December 25 and beyond, we can continue to provide continuous improvement to RTAPS and faculty training support. This will be a resource that's available on OER Commons, and they will continue to provide some technical assistance. You can see our RTAPS timeline. In April 30th, EPPs will be submitting proposals to us at the Grow Your Own Center and the ICBTE faculty fellows for adoption, just to let us know which courses they will be using and how they will be implementing within their own universities. And in June of 2025, RTAPS will be available for fall 25 cohorts. We're really excited about that. In December of 25, the curriculum package and all of the resources will be ready for spring 26 cohorts. And those resources really include a technical assistance webpage, training materials for mentor teachers and faculty, a PLA guide for EPPs, RTAPS aligned to a high-need licensure area, and a published report on RTAPS effectiveness. And December 25 and beyond, ICBTE faculty fellows will continue to provide continuous improvement to the curriculum and faculty training support, and OER Commons will provide that technical assistance. On the next slide, you can see our goals when beginning this project were for every school district with aspiring educators from every county in Tennessee to have access to a high quality, affordable preparation pathway, for every EPP in the state to have access to competency-based educator curriculum to really accelerate those innovative approaches, and a collaborative and inter-colleague group of faculty fellows to establish a robust research agenda to study and publish their findings related to various approaches to teacher education prep. And this RTAPS curriculum really fills all of those goals. So we're excited for the upcoming fall cohort and then spring 26 cohorts. Thank you for your time. You can see some QR codes here for our Tennessee Grow Your Own Center website, our mailing list, and our RTAPS website, the curriculum I was just speaking about. You can also contact Kate and myself at our email addresses right there. Thank you for your time. I'll now pass it on to CU Denver.
Thanks, Bianca. Hi, everyone. I'm Cindy Gutierrez, and I'm going to share a little bit about what we've been doing over the past decade around innovative job-embedded pathways that have really been about increasing access and diversity. So the first pathway that I want to share with you is a program that we designed in collaboration initially with Denver Public Schools called NextGen. We used a teacher quality partnership grant in 2014 to start the design of this, and it's been sustained and going ever since. And we came together with the district in a thought partnership to say, you know, what do we need to really do to design a program that will really recruit and support and prepare that diverse workforce? And it really forced us to have to think very differently about all of the barriers that particularly diverse and first generation students experience trying to earn a bachelor's degree and a teaching license. And so NextGen was designed with all of this in mind and has sustained in a variety of our professional development schools that we partner with in several districts. So we use unique school sites to prepare our teacher candidates. And so those school sites also, besides having a teacher shortage, have a para shortage. And what they really saw the opportunity for us to do was to be able to tap into students that we were recruiting through a variety of diverse pipelines and hire them as paid part-time paraeducator interns within those schools. So all of our PDSs hire anywhere from 2 to 6 of our students to have these half-time paid paraprofessional roles. And that job embedded role, that paid clinical experience, serves as the context for their clinical experience. So you can see here that we start in those diverse recruitment pipelines. We do a lot actually in a summer bridge program to really support those individuals to transition from wherever they might have been. They might be recent high school graduates, they might be transfer students out of the community college, they might be non-traditional returning individuals saying, I want to come back to college at this point. But we know we want to ensure that they have a place, a highly supportive place that's going to prepare them both for this new job that they're going to have as a paraeducator intern. It's going to prepare them for college success, and it's going to help them really develop this next gen community and identity that supports them all the way out through the program. So then as they continue, they are in that paraeducator intern role, their freshman, sophomore, and junior year. And of course, they're taking all of the connected coursework with us. And then their senior year, they transition into a professional year residency. And again, the last bit of their coursework. Throughout this time, they are being highly mentored by teachers, practicing teachers in our professional development schools. They're working with a variety of different mentors across that whole time. And in addition, we developed an internal School of Education and Human Development Success Center that provides both academic, socio-emotional, and college navigational supports to ensure that they don't fall through the cracks anywhere as they engage in their program. So our Success Center is going to provide tutoring, it's going to provide study groups, it does provide praxis supports for the licensure tests. It provides that just-in-time, highly relational, you know, I don't think I can do this, I feel like an imposter, to be able to say, nope, you are right where you need to be, and we're going to make sure that you sustain all the way through. And then, of course, as they finish that program, then they are identified, particularly in the district that they've been a next-gen candidate for priority hiring as a new teacher. So we've worked with all of our HR departments to really prioritize and support them in transitioning them into a new teacher. So the Next Gen model was one of the 8 programs when the Biden administration a few years ago elevated the idea of saying we should have registered teacher apprenticeships. I think so many of us in educator preparation have had programs and designed just conceptually like an apprenticeship, but now it just makes it possible for them to be truly recognized and registered with the Department of Labor, which then includes opportunities for new kinds of funding. So one of the things that we wanted to elevate in this pathway, and you can go to the next slide, is a little bit about what's happening in the space around those diverse recruitment pipelines, particularly around high school dual enrollment. So this notion of really building this identity and supporting students to get started on an educator pathway while they're in high school, we have this untapped potential and capital sitting right inside our K-12 system that we really have to give a lot of strategy to and design some very intentional experiences to support them to think about and consider that career pathway in education. So we have designed a 43 credit hour pathway that our high school partners, district partners can offer. We have 11 different education courses and 3 general education courses in English and math. The courses are all part of the CU Denver bachelor's degree that's applicable to multiple licensure tracks. We offer reduced tuition and offer the courses at the community college rate. And the courses are all taught by qualified high school teachers to teach that course. So they all have to meet the HLC requirements, and they are supported by lead Denver faculty for the course that they're teaching. But this allows the district to really identify the timing of it, when it's going to work with their master schedule, all of those sorts of things, and that it's offered oftentimes by individuals the students are very familiar with and connected with. The pathway is very customizable given district strengths and needs. We have some districts that literally have all 43 credits embedded in their pathways. Some might only have 3 or 4 courses, again, depending on their needs. The districts use a variety of their types of funding through our concurrent enrollment funds to pay tuition. Sometimes they share that cost with families, but again, it's offered at that reduced tuition rate. We do have a paraprofessional certificate built in. This is not a requirement that you have to be a paraprofessional in the state of Colorado, but we help them kind of package it into an industry credential that says right after you're done, you can go on and become a paraprofessional and keep going in the program through our next gen model. We also provide a lot of high touch support from the School of Education to really build that bridge from high school to university and support that college going story. So students come for campus visits. We do a lot of application and financial aid support. And you can see we've got 10 plus district partners and over 300 students. Next slide. As we built off of this, one of the things that our districts came to us around is to say, you know, this is fabulous, the things that we're doing for high school students. We need something, though, for our full-time paras. So we launched our para to teacher apprenticeship pathway, PTAP, that is now statewide. So we've been at this for about 1.5 years. One of the very innovative things that we've done with districts is that if they're offering that dual enrollment pathway for their high school students, their full-time paras can join those courses at the same reduced tuition rate. And many of the districts are picking up the cost for that. We ensure that all courses are after 5 o'clock or later. It's in a boundaryless format, meaning candidates access the courses from wherever they are. So a lot of our courses are already potentially remote or online, but even if it's an in-person course here in Denver, the students join that course via Zoom and are engaged in that way. And again, they use their para-role to meet those requirements. And lots of high touch, high relational models of support that I mentioned for our next gen students. We've just leveraged the same types of things. Next slide. So I just want to share a little bit of our impact and outcome so far. So you can kind of see there what our stats are for next gen, for our newest PTAP pathway. This is designed as a registered teacher apprenticeship in one district, and we're currently in the process of expanding to others based on some new state legislation and how Colorado has defined registered teacher apprenticeship. So we're starting to move in that direction. Our braided funding is very similar to what Bianca and Kate talked about, right? So we're leveraging that dual enrollment, reduced tuition. We do have credit for prior learning that's also at reduced tuition. The next gen paraeducator interns are paid through the school-based budget. So principals are just using their open para positions to hire next gen candidates. The districts provide funding for that senior year residency, and we've had for the past few years some state funding if students are financially eligible. Our Colorado Department of Education also provides a $10,000 tuition support for apprenticeship pathways, and some of our districts provide additional tuition support. And then lastly, you can see the broader outcomes of what this means for expanding access and removing those barriers to ensuring a diverse workforce. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'd like to pass it on to Dr. Stephanie Brennan, that comes from the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga School of Education. I think you might be on mute, Dr.
I
Stephanie.
am on mute. Look at that.
It wouldn't be Zoom if you weren't on mute in the middle of a webinar.
It happens while I'm teaching my students too, so it's totally fine. So, hi again. I'm Dr. Stephanie Brennan. I am with the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. We have been partnered with the Tennessee Grow Your Own Center since we first began our apprenticeship program in Tennessee. So, over the past couple of years, we've learned a lot. I am constantly growing, and our program, our apprentices, are the ones who are pushing us farther and helping our School of Ed to grow. And so I want to share with you guys some of the lessons learned and the direction that we are headed. This slide is a brief overview of our program. We have about 72 apprentices currently in our program. We have, actually the slide's a little out of date, we're up to 14 partners, school districts now. We offer a pathway in undergraduate, graduate, and post-bac with licensure only. And then you can see our licensure areas that we also that we support through this program. You want to next slide? So we have come across a couple of challenges with our undergraduates. So because it's a traditional university, we function within the same constraints as all traditional universities. So it's trying to figure out and navigate that world while supporting our apprentices who are full-time employees, full-time family members, and full-time students. So how do we help our undergraduates to navigate this world in a slightly less stressful way? We are a 2+2 model, meaning that they have accomplished all of their general ed requirements. Some have done it at UTC, and some have accomplished it with our partner community colleges, but then they come to us for their final 60-hour credit hours, which could range anywhere from 4 to 6 semesters worth of classes, depending on how many courses they still require. So trying to navigate, again, the world of they are full-time employees, so all of their courses have to be offered in the evening or online. Then, which means that we also we straddle Eastern and Central time zone, so many of our apprentices are in one or the other. So making sure that we are we're accommodating their needs. So our courses, if they do meet in person, usually meet online and not until after 5:30 Eastern time, allowing our central time zone folks to be able to come to class. We have tapped into using study.com, which has really helped our apprentices pass the praxis first time. We're at 100% since I started implementing. Sounds a little strict, but they have to pass study.com's practice test with a 70% or greater before I give them their voucher, which we pay for their praxis exams. And because of that, our apprentices have all passed the praxis. So they love it. They love study.com. It's a safe space for them to struggle. And so we've been really enjoying that success. But we've had some other struggles. So the next couple of slides, we're going to talk about how we're meeting those needs. So our first strategy is we are tapping into credit by exam. Many of our apprentices come to us with years of experience in the school system, and we want to honor that. So we have strategically looked at the courses that our traditional students take, and also we are using the RTAPS modules to help us with this. And we have identified 11 courses that our apprentices can choose to do credit by exam. They have a choice. It's completely up to them. We want them to feel comfortable. We don't want to force them to try a test and then have to take a class. So we do leave it up to them. And this is also in hopes to save their time. But also it will save us in tuition costs because credit by exam is a significant price point difference than needing to take a full course. Next strategy. Next strategy is we are clumping like courses. We have started looking at other apprenticeship programs across the world. We were introduced to the Oxford group, who this is how they particularly give their apprentices courses. So we clump them all together. So we are clumping all of our literacy courses together. We are clumping all of our ESL courses together so that in one semester, they can take those requisite classes and then be able to take their praxis exam. It's different with our traditional students. They can get stretched out sometimes. So they might take a math course their first semester junior year and then take the next math course first semester senior year, which kind of stretches that content knowledge a little bit. So sometimes that can be a little bit of a stressor on the praxis exam. So we're strategically looking at our apprentices' plans of study and targeting when it's best for them to take certain classes so that then they can immediately take their praxis exam shortly thereafter. And then the third strategy, on the next slide. We've also started just recently, so I don't have any data on this one, tapping into half semester courses. So in the summertime, our university historically offers term 1 classes and term 2 classes. And so I approached our director of School of Ed and said, why don't we do this in the fall and the spring? And then our apprentices can take more classes without taking them all at the same time. Because as a full-time employee, full-time parent, taking 4 classes is really difficult. And their cognitive overload is, I hear a lot. I tend to counsel them in stress relief. But by tapping into these half semester courses, they can focus on just 2 classes at a time. So it allows them to give each one of those classes their wholeheartedness. And then they don't feel like they are having to step away from their own family or their job. So like I said, we don't have data on this because this one is a brand new thing. We will be starting this in the fall. So we have in some of our starting to implement some of these courses with our competency, our credit by exam. We just started working on that this semester, and I have 4 apprentices who have tapped into that and have been so grateful. They are very much looking forward to having they've got some other choices that they've already started looking at. So we are receiving a lot of positive feedback with the new scheduling model that we have been implementing, with having their courses be online at night. They love that flexibility, even though sometimes they do miss seeing each other in person, but it does allow them an opportunity to get home and feed their children and then get online and be able to still be there for their kids at night for class. Our next steps as a institution, we are working on competency-based courses. So we have been educating our regular faculty in how to implement competency-based. A lot of them have been teaching with apprentices in their class, so they're very excited in being able to look at this new way of developing their coursework. We are also working on some self-paced online programs, particularly with our graduate program. And then we're also working on micro-credentialing, especially with our graduate programs as well. So hopefully next year we do this again, I'll have some more great news for you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always willing to help anybody who especially is new to this, or like, hey, kind of get some more information on what you guys are doing. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Susan and Ben from Ball State University.
Awesome. Good afternoon. Thanks, Stephanie. My name is Ben Fritsch. I'm the Director of Teacher Pathway Programs at Ball State. And with me is Dr. Susan Tancock, the Associate Dean of Teachers College, and Indiana's first registered apprentice, McKenna Johnson. And we're excited to give you a background on our apprenticeship programs and pathways, but also to discuss how we are implementing mentor support. So just some quick background. Indiana's first RTAP was established in 2022 with Region 5 Workforce Board. They're the regional workforce board across Hamilton County, and Ball State is the related technical instruction provider. We started 3 years ago with 4 apprentices. One is with us here today, so we're very excited about that. But 3 years later now, we partner with 10 school districts. We have over 90 apprentices in our pathways. We have 2 apprentices currently at Ball State, and we offer 2 different pathways currently: the Education Professions pathway, which leads to a bachelor's in elementary education and licensure, and also early childhood education, which goes along with the ECE wrap. So apprentices can begin our program starting their junior year of high school. They begin taking our dual credit, which is shown in pink. These courses are aligned to the next level programs of study. Apprentices can also stack other dual credit that their schools offer, shown in blue and green. And all of that credit will come to Ball State. Simultaneously to all of that, apprentices are also gaining work-based learning experience in classrooms in a 1-to-1 ratio with their mentors throughout the day. So for example, an apprentice would leave their school around like noon and go to their work-based learning site and spend the rest of the day there. Apprentices have the opportunity to stack enough dual credit to represent their first full year at Ball State once they matriculate to Ball State, and that's shown as post-secondary 1. The next 2 years, post-secondary years 2 and 3, students take courses on campus at Ball State, and we place them in diverse child-serving settings around Muncie. McKenna is, and she can tell you more about this a little later, is currently at Longfellow Elementary with her mentor. Their 4th year, in the spirit of Grow Your Own, they return home. They take some courses online, and they will spend their first semester student teaching at their home school district. If they spend their 2nd semester student teaching in that same school, we can offer them around $11,500 in our teacher residency program. And this pathway culminates in the bachelor's degree in elementary education with licensure. And then we also, in the ECE wrap, we follow a very similar model to this. So we have the 1-to-1 mentor to apprentice ratios. We found that we need to support our mentors in a lot of different ways. So the first way is that we recognize that our mentors are teachers. They're not workforce development experts. As you know, the language around Department of Workforce Development, the language around career and technical education, and the language used at state departments of education, all are different languages. And so bringing that together to make it make sense for our mentors so that they can best provide support for our apprentices has been one challenge. Secondly, we find that good teachers are not necessarily good mentors. For example, there's a big difference between teaching to a class of 30 students over the course of a year and being paired one-to-one with an aspiring teacher. And so supporting mentors in their ability to provide that one-to-one relationship building and providing feedback has been very essential. Additionally, mentors not only provide support for the apprentice, but they also provide communication with the apprentice's family. They provide communication with the apprentice's high school counselors and with our dual credit instructors. So mentors really have a bit of a communication hurdle in that they have lots of different entities who they can communicate with to support their apprentice. And then lastly, making sure that our mentors understand the competency lists and the language used in them, what they look like, how to track them, how often, where to submit them, and then most importantly, how to use them as a tool for feedback. So we have three avenues currently to support our mentors. For one, we hold monthly mentor support webinars. We invite mentors, intermediaries, sponsors. Some of our school partners send their instructional coaches who will take the information that they get in these webinars and bring them back to their districts. But these are a time for sharing and collaboration among like-minded mentors and individuals. Just at the beginning of the spring semester, we brought on our dual credit instructors to present their courses, to present their syllabi and their assignment lists with due dates. And all of those were sent out to our mentors so that we can bridge the gap between mentors and our dual credit courses. So that's just an example of the types of things that we do in those webinars. We also have micro-credentials through Ball State's Lifetime Learning, and the QR code will take you to the Lifetime Learning website. In particular, we have two micro-credential courses. The first is Mentoring New and Aspiring Teachers, which is designed for mentors of apprentices in our education professions pathway, so apprentices aspiring to be elementary educators. We also have Mentoring Early Childhood Education Apprentices, which is more designed for mentors with apprentices in the ECE wrap. That course not only goes into depth about mentoring and best practices of mentoring, but also nuances of the ECE wrap. So how often do mentors need to fill out the competency lists? Where do they submit them? How could they use it as a tool for feedback and things like that? And then lastly, we are proud partners of the Indiana Department of Education. We are currently developing a mentor support handbook, toolkit, and community practice for the ECE wrap mentors. The handbook is about how mentors can design communities of practice and bring that structure back to their districts. The toolkit goes into detail about mentoring, and then the recorded community of practice that we've been facilitating is aligned with the toolkit. It takes mentors through the entire process, starting from examining internally what mentors will bring to the apprentice relationship, all the way up to what it looks like when the apprentice moves on. So whether that's the apprentice moving from their high school to Ball State or from Ball State into the workforce, what does wrapping up the relationship look like? And so I'm very happy to introduce McKenna Johnson, Indiana's first registered apprentice. McKenna is working with a mentor at Longfellow Elementary. I've had the pleasure of observing McKenna, and she is just rocking it as a teacher apprentice. So McKenna, if you wouldn't mind saying a few words about kind of like your relationship with your mentor or anything along those lines?
Yes, thank you. My mentor at Longfellow Elementary School, her name is Tiana Isom. Sorry if it's a little loud. We are doing our dismissal right now at Longfellow. But Ty has really just shown me how to manage the classroom effectively. I work with her for 4 hours every day after school, Monday through Thursday. And I'm just able to learn how she works with kids and how she plans lessons to actively engage them every day. And then another really helpful thing that Ty has helped me with is during our professional development meetings we have every Tuesday. She's able to walk me through our Lexia reading progress and seeing how our kids are progressing through that program and how we can implement different I Read 3 strategies and our UFly curriculum. And then like as a freshman at Ball State, like seeing all that is extremely helpful and just like helps me utilize data from student progress into my own lesson plans. And then as I'm taking Ball State courses, I'm able to use the techniques that I'm there to also implement into these strategies and curriculums, and overall just help improve student learning at Longfellow.
Thanks, McKenna. And so if you have any questions, we are happy to answer them. Our emails are on this slide, or we can answer your questions in this webinar.
Thank you all for presenting. We do have a few questions before we end things. Our first question is for Dr. Brennan. I see that you have secondary/middle grade programs listed. Is there any information about what these programs look like in practice? For example, are there content courses involved? Are there also required to be evening or online?
Great question. Currently, we are piloting a middle grades math in our undergraduate. Yes, undergraduate does require content outside of the School of Education, which has been a little bit of a hiccup because they typically only offer their courses during the day, not at night or online. But we are piloting the middle grades math because the math classes that are required for middle grades, we have been able to work with the math department to have they are offered online. So we're hoping that this will work out beautifully with our middle grades math. The middle grade secondary licensure only program is our graduate level program, and they only are required to take teacher prep courses, which are all offered within the School of Education. So when we look at it for apprentices, we look at what degrees they had before, so if they wanted to be, let's say they wanted to be a math teacher, we look at what math classes did they take in undergraduate, then we turn around and we recommend to the LEAs whether or not, yes, we feel like they could handle licensure only and being able to teach. If they didn't have a whole lot of courses, we don't just tell them, no, you can't be an apprentice. That just lets us know that we have to support their content knowledge because they do still have to pass their praxis exams. So we just support the content part. I hope this answers your questions.
The next question is curious about funding sources and how this work is financially prioritized. And I'm guessing that is for anyone on the call.
So this is Cindy, and I'd love to turn this to our Tennessee partners. This might be my dear colleague, Gerardo Munoz from DPS.
Yes.
One of the things that I'm so impressed by what Tennessee has done is at a state level, how they have prioritized funding for this. And I know our DPS partners have done incredible work of trying to keep Next Gen prioritized through Title II district funds. But we struggle at the state level. So would love to hear Tennessee talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like I shared at the very beginning, we are fortunate in Tennessee to have a state allocation to continue the sustainability of Grow Your Own. So that state allocation is what funds our Grow Your Own scholarships to EPPs, which is our colleges and universities. Beyond that, I shared our funding guide in the chat, so you're welcome to click on that. But there we've outlined all of the sources of funding that are available in Tennessee, as well as through workforce like WIOA, and then what local workforce boards can offer, which would be reimbursed to LEAs. And then state, federal, and other sources of funding that our apprentices apply for. And so just kind of by braiding all of those together, that's really how we keep at that low to no cost model for apprentices in Tennessee.
Kate, is there anything?
Yeah. Sorry.
I just didn't know if there's anything you would elevate from like a policy standpoint, like the fact that you got your apprenticeship office to dedicate 10% of its funding to registered teacher apprenticeship. We're kind of still over here trying to say like, yeah, registered teacher apprenticeships are part of this workforce development.
Yeah, that was a early decision between our sponsor and our Department of Labor, just really working together and advocating for that. So, I mean, I know they really prioritize, not that your state doesn't, but prioritize registered teacher apprenticeship and, see it as a valuable tool in, working towards ending the shortage. So hopefully just as you all continue to gather more data, on how many apprentices you are supporting and those completion and retention rates, taking that to legislation and just really showing that it is a key tool in the shortage that we're all kind of facing.
I would add, we really focus on that vacancy data as well to kind of highlight the case. Here's our statewide need, and then here's the response. So we're one strategy out of many to support that vacancy need. But when you see those numbers, it creates a really compelling case to allocate funds towards teacher apprenticeship.
And in Indiana, we don't have state funding for the apprenticeship per se, just for that residency year. So what we've tried to do is shorten the time to degree and the time away from home, so that those are two ways that we are reducing the cost for our candidate.
Ferrario says, I know we're almost out of time, but it sounds like a lot of stakeholders who engaged to make this happen. Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, I think that's right. It's everybody coming to the table and having those conversations, data driven, are most impactful, but bringing the sponsor, the intermediary, the colleges, the districts really sharing what their needs are is a great way to make a move. And, your Department of Labor all kind of coming to the table. That's really what we found to be impactful.
I think that concludes us for today's webinar. We do want to thank all of our panelists for taking the time out to join us today and share some very pertinent information regarding the field. Thank you all. And thank you all for also sharing your contact information. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out, or you may feel free to reach out to us and we will send your questions or comments along. And thank you for crossing paths with us today. And we hope everyone has a great afternoon. Thank you all.